Oh, definitely. We're not used to this situation, having time to sit and think about coming up short. So obviously want to get that taste out of our mouth. It was a really, really good week last week of just getting back to the basics of who we are, what our system's about, correcting the little things. But I know the guys will come back with a lot of energy this week, playing at home, 8 o'clock, looking forward to the atmosphere. So definitely ready to get back out there.
We really got into the film. Was there any one takeaway from the Syracuse game? Hey, I wish we could have done this better. Or I had done this better.
I'll start with myself. I felt like I could have helped the guys, especially with some snap count things. Trying to slow those guys down. Then also just finding ways to get back in rhythm. Trying to find the run game that was going to give us those 5, 6, 7-yard gains so we could stay ahead of the chains. Also took a couple chances trying to go to the perimeter. That cost us some TFLs, and anytime we get behind the chains, it's hard to overcome that. So really focusing on myself, just making sure that I'm getting into a rhythm a little bit quicker in the game to help those guys out.
How was Kelly doing? Did he rest the entire week, or did he practice?
Kelly was with the strength staff most of the week, working on just getting himself back into playing shape, but was over there for some of the periods just to make sure he's up on the game plan. Zarek and Hunter took most of the reps, and we're anticipating that he's going to be back today. Excited to see where he's at.
Has he been cleared from concussion protocol?
As far as I know.
Reps pretty much 50-50 between Hunter and Zarek?
For the most part, yep.
When you guys do put in the backups, is that a Streeter decision, a Dabo decision, all of you guys? Who sort of makes that?
That's mostly Coach Streeter and Coach Sweeney that make that determination. Obviously Coach Streeter's with those guys all the time in the meeting room, so he knows their temperament, he knows where they're at, and then also Coach always has that gut feel of who he feels like he needs to be in the game, and so really that's a discussion. I'm not really involved in that other than I'm trying to focus on the next play call, and then they determine who's in there, and then we just roll with it. And the biggest thing is making sure that there's no drop off once those guys come in the game.
Coach, when you are forced to make that quarterback change, and you see chemistry change between players, and that happens, it forces you to change how you deal with that player in that situation, or how you formulate the game plan going forward?
Going into it throughout the course of the week, we set the game plan, and the expectation is those guys can function. And obviously in the back of your mind, it doesn't matter who the quarterback is, or really you have a feeling for what the guys are confident doing, not just the quarterback position, but across the board, as you're trying to call plays. So really the biggest thing is making sure throughout the course of the week that you're not overloading any one of those guys, to make sure you got a sound plan. And when they come in, obviously you want to roll with the game plan until you see that there might be an issue, something that they may not handle. Then you might try and get to some other things. But really, for me, is trying to stay one step ahead, being in tune with what the defense is giving us, what are the right adjustments to make. And so really who the quarterback is, isn't really a primary thought for me.
The fans and the media, we see Hunter come out and look really sharp for the ball. Zarek maybe not so much, but in practice, what do you see that Zarek does so well that keeps him ahead on the depth chart that we don't see?
I think the biggest thing is within our system, there's a lot of things that the quarterback has to control, and it just takes experience. If you go back and you watch Kelly when he was a young guy going in there behind Deshaun, there was a lot of things, just the nuances of when to send guys in motion, when do you need to pull the ball and throw it on your RPO. So just those little things, and really when we're on our practice field, it's hectic, things are moving fast, so it's just really the complete command of the system. And now one thing that he's given us confidence is when he goes in the game, it seems like in the game, that stuff comes a lot more natural to him, but in practice there's just a couple things that you got to remind him on that you don't have to remind Zarek on, just because Zarek's been here. Zarek's been in the system, has been around the terminology, he's actually orchestrated the motions and all the adjustments that we have.
Is Zarek comfortable enough to see something and change it? Does he have that latitude if he comes up to the line of scrimmage?
Within the framework of the play calls, each of our play calls will have different adjustments. Obviously, Deshaun was in his second year, actually his third year in the system. Second year, he was really, really comfortable, and he had a lot more flexibility. We haven't quite gotten there yet with any of the quarterbacks, other than if we have a run-pass option, being able to check. You see those guys checking protections on some of our run-pass options. If they give us the wrong look, they'll check to a protection to make us sound. So definitely all those guys are improving. But right now, Kelly and Zarek would have the most confidence in that.
Tony, how did the guys respond last week at practice? Did they do what you wanted? Did you see out of them what you wanted to see?
Definitely. That was one thing. We got a young football team. And a lot of these guys, our freshmen, it's the first loss that they've had. Our sophomores and juniors, all they know is playing all season and winning a bunch of football games. So it was good to see those guys, take coaching. being humble about their approach, taking ownership of the things that we needed to correct, both on and off the field, and really just focusing on the details. So really pleased with what we got accomplished last week.
Talks about as close as you can get to being undefeated. What have you seen from them on film defensively? How are they different, similar to in the past?
You know, I think structurally they're very similar. You know, Ted's going to do what Ted does. He has changed it up a little bit, not playing, you know, a particular front as much as he's played in the past, but he's finding ways to blitz and get to that front, so disguising a little bit better. Defensive line-wise, they're playing about 2 deep at every position, so they're staying fresh. Those guys got a lot of experience in that D-line. The linebackers are led by 51. I know he was out last week. I think he came up hurt in the Miami game, but you can tell that he gets them lined up. The younger guys behind him are very, very athletic, can make a lot of plays, and then their secondary is an experienced secondary, and I think 20 is playing at a high level, and you see 5 coming down from the free safety spot, fit in the box. So you can tell there's a lot of experience. Those guys are playing with a lot of confidence, and they've been really good on third down too. You know, as far as I know, he's been good. We didn't have to limit him in practice. Obviously, when you're dealing with a guy like that, sometimes they feel things throughout the course of the game, but didn't see any issues throughout the course of the week with him.
Tony, this year you kind of used a solid 4-guy rotation, and that's been effective. The last couple of years, you know, Wayne carried most of the time. What do you prefer? Would you rather have one of your guys kind of jump up, grab the starting spot, and stay that way, or do you like keeping people fresher?
No, I love to keep the guys fresh, and the thing that's you know, good for me is that all those guys can go in and function at a high level. Whereas in the past, you may have had one guy that you knew you could trust in every situation, and then you had situational guys. And it's very, very hard with my responsibilities on game day, the tempo at which we play, being able to get those guys in the right situation. But, you know, Travis is still coming along, and I'm feeling more and more confident being able to play in all situations. He did give up the one sack there in the Syracuse game, and it was really more a function of just trying to do too much. You know, he was trying to do somebody else's job with his eyes as opposed to doing him. So, you know, the good thing is when you got 4 guys, you can let those guys roll, and also it creates a competitive environment on the practice field every single day because they know that their touches are already going to be spread out amongst 4 guys, and so if they want to continue to get those touches, then they got to perform.
Do you think that's maybe more a future of college football, or more of a rotation, or do you think there's still the opportunity for one guy, you know, a Saquon Barkley to...
Right. I wouldn't, you know, try to generalize all of college football. I think each team, each situation is going to be different. It's going to be dependent upon the players. It's going to be dependent upon the health, the system. You know, there's a lot of factors that are involved. And I've always said that I want to have at least 3 guys that can go, and it's a luxury to have 4 of those guys go in and be able to function.
CJ was the starter in the opener, and his carries have been limited in the last couple games. How's he responded to that?
Oh man, he's been great, and you know that's the foundation of our program is leadership, servant leadership, and been extremely proud with his attitude. Been extremely proud with how Adam Choice is embracing his leadership. He addressed the group and basically took responsibility for Travis's mistake. And anytime you got older guys, you know, that respect the young guys, and then also take ownership of anything that those guys do. So just because you know CJ's not getting carries, he's getting carries because he's helping Taven get better. He's helping Travis get better, and then he's preparing. And he's the best pass protector that I got, so that's really kind of been his role, is to possibly be a third down guy in some crucial passing situations, but then also elevate the play of the younger guys from a pass protection standpoint.
How much do you need to get the screen game sort of back in order to what you're used to?
Correct. That's you know, we had an opportunity to really look at ourselves, and that's one of the areas that we need to improve. Now, a function of it is defenses are playing us a little bit different too. They're going to sit down on their head and not give us those outlet throws, and they're going to force the quarterback to turn those into runs as opposed to throws, because that's something that's been very, very productive for us. And you know, obviously we got to take ownership of blocking on the perimeter, getting the ball out there faster, just the things that we can control, and that's something that we're going to continue to work on because that allows us to stretch the defense horizontally and make those guys tackle our playmakers in space. So definitely a point of emphasis for us to improve is our screen game.
Pretty good.
Thanks, Coach.
All right.